Robert had heard this new restaurant was very popular. He adjusted his clothes, smiled confidently, and walked inside expecting a nice, simple meal. The restaurant looked fancy and expensive. Robert looked around nervously, scratched his head, and wondered where the normal menus were hiding. Instead of a menu, Robert found a strange square code on the table. He squinted at it, tilted his head, and looked completely confused. After several failed attempts, Robert finally scanned the code. He frowned at his phone and sighed as endless pages appeared. Robert's eyes nearly popped out of his head. The prices seemed higher than his monthly electricity bill. He gripped the table in shock. The food names made no sense to Robert. He stared at the screen and looked more confused with every word he read. A waiter arrived and began explaining the dishes. Robert listened carefully, nodded slowly, and still looked completely lost. The explanation somehow became even more complicated. Robert blinked repeatedly and wondered if anyone actually knew what the food was. Eventually, Robert gave up trying to understand. He pointed at something random and hoped it was at least edible. A bottle of water appeared on the table. Robert smiled at first, then discovered it cost extra and nearly fell off his chair. Robert waited patiently. He looked around, tapped his fingers, and imagined the giant meal that must be coming. The food finally arrived. Robert stared at the tiny portion in disbelief and leaned closer to make sure he could actually see it. Robert searched the plate for the rest of the meal. He lifted the garnish and examined every corner hopefully. A few bites later, the meal was gone. Robert sat frozen, looking at the empty plate and his still hungry stomach. The bill arrived and Robert's smile disappeared instantly. His eyes widened as he carefully read every charge. Then Robert spotted an added tip already included. He pointed at the bill, shook his head, and looked deeply offended. Robert left the restaurant feeling disappointed. His stomach rumbled loudly as he walked home, hungry and frustrated. Back at home, Robert happily ate a giant plate of crispy fries. At last he smiled, relaxed, and enjoyed a meal that actually filled him up. If this made you smile, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe.